When I ask you, who are the greatest football club in the world? Is it Barcelona? Is it Manchester United? Is it Real Madrid? No. It's the club that resides right here in this city. It's Plymouth Argyle Football Club. Unique for a number of reasons. Unique because of its name. There are hundreds of united cities, towns, but there's only one Argyle, Plymouth Argyle. It's unique because of its location. Exiled in the southwest, hundreds of miles from any decent football clubs in reality, but 40 miles from the nearest league club. And it's unique because of its fan base, the overwhelmingly passionate and brilliant Green Army who stood up when it mattered 3 years ago. From the years of 2002 to 2009, Argyle fans had success like they'd never known before. We had 2 promotions. We reached the quarter-final of the FA Cup, and we were within touching distance of the Premier League, what all fans will know as the Promised Land. We were nearly there. We were knocking at the door. But then disaster struck. Relegation followed, and lots of financial issues started to creep in. Bills weren't being paid. There was leaks into the newspapers, and issues rose almost day by day, week by week, which was matched by the team's performance on the pitch as we slid down the league tables. And then, at this time, the inevitable happened. The players stopped getting their wages, the staff stopped getting their wages, and the board eventually held their hands up and said, this is a club in crisis. So what the fans did in response to that, they created something called a fans trust. And what that basically is it's a trade union type model for fans to have their input and to challenge the owners and to put the supporters' views across to the people in power. And at that time, my day job was a senior trade union official. So you might think that married quite well, but actually, I went to Plymouth Argyle to get away from that. I went to Argyle to boo the referee, to cheer my team on the odd occasion we scored a goal, and to actually have a little bit of fun and get away from it. So I stood back and let people get on with creating the fans trust, and they did a fantastic job in that. But the situation week on week carried on worsening, and the club carried on not paying the players. They carried on not paying the staff, and it was 3 months into that period that we actually formally entered administration. The club were docked 10 points, and ultimately we were relegated once again into the bottom league in British football. So we had a huge issue. And Argyle's administration wasn't like administrations at other football clubs across the country, because if you're a Leicester City or if you're Manchester United and you go into administration, then the hawks around you because you're an attractive proposition. You're a big football club, you've got a big following, there's money to be made, people will flock around and try and save you. With Argyle, at that point, nobody wanted to buy the club. There was nobody willing to step in and fund the administration. So what happened as a result of that is that the staff and the players had to make the sacrifice to say, we won't receive any wages. And that was enabled then the administrator to come in and say, well, on that basis, this is a self-funded administration, funded by their sacrifices, so I'll step in and administer the club. But then a number of key individuals emerged, including the administrator and facilitators at the club and legal operators who came in and started to shape the administration. But what was happening at that point is that it was individuals driving the agenda. Whether it be the administrator or the club's temporary board, they were driving the agenda. And we had 7, 8, 9, 10,000 matchday fans helpless. We had tens of thousands of supporters all around the world, believe it or not, helpless and not able to play their part in saving Plymouth Argyle, and actually having to depend on the word and the trust of these 2, 3, 4 individuals and whether we'd have a football club to go and support next week. And that was the situation that we found ourselves in. And there was a big public meeting called at the Guildhall, just a few hundred meetings from this very venue in 2011. And at that meeting, those individuals stood and they said, and they gave the same reassurances that they'd been giving the fans for the 2 to 3 months prior to that. And all of the supporters there, in the majority, you could just feel the atmosphere was like, we just got to take this. You know, we don't know whether to believe this or not, but we just got to take it and we just got to place our faith in hope. And I had a moment, you know, and I'm sure all of you guys will have moments in your life, and many of you already have. I had a moment where I judged that my position, which was I come to Plymouth Argyle to enjoy myself, with my position, which is, you know, I try and stand up for what's right. And actually here, in this situation, we've got a classic case of the tail wagging the dog. We've got 1,000 people in this room, dictated by 3. That cannot be right. So I stood up and I challenged those 3 people. And the audience responded to it. The Argyle fan base responded to it. A week later, I joined the Fans Trust, and a month after that, I was the chairman of the Fans Trust. And what we did, we set about changing the agenda. We actually recalled the meeting was the first thing I did as chair of the Fans Trust. Exactly the same venue, exactly the same time, and we got everyone together. But what I did was something different, because I stood up at the beginning of the meeting and I addressed the fans and I addressed the 3 individuals and said, this is no longer a part of the process where supporters are stood aside and we hope for the best. This is a process now where the supporters are going to drive the change. This is a process where we are going to dictate whether this football club gets saved. We're going to dictate whether this city still has an institution by the end of this administration. And it changed the game, because supporters left that meeting on that night knowing that they could influence the administration process. But perhaps more importantly, the individuals left the room knowing that the supporters could influence the administration process. So during that period, we held marches through the city, we held rallies, we held red card protests on match days, and we mobilised, would you believe it, hundreds of fans. We put a motion to the City Council, something that had never been done before, for the council to buy the ground back off Argyle. And what that meant, if that happened, is that we could get the owner that we wanted in place. So we took down 500 people locked out, not 500 people in attendance, 500 people locked out of the council meeting. It was that busy. We had hundreds of Argyle fans in, hundreds of Argyle fans out, and the City Council voted to buy back the ground. It was a massive moment of history, both for the city and for Argyle. And we also mobilised the local media. The local media, we felt at the time, were just getting fed lines by the individuals and just printing headline after headline after headline. Every single day over a period of 4 months, the headline was led by the supporters' view is, the Argyle fans believe, the Green Army want. And we totally changed the dynamics of how that was going. And what we did as well, we made activists out of people and individuals who had never picked up a pen in anger, never marched, never took a step in anger on a march, or never done anything politically motivated in our life. And whether that was them sending a tweet, whether that was them signing a petition, whether that was them joining our email campaign, we mobilised an army of people who previously had no such history of campaigning, but we gave them the belief that actually if we do this together, then our collective will win over the power of those individuals involved in the process. And through that collective power, we exposed all of the frauds, all the people that purported to want the club for the right reasons but actually didn't, all moved to the side, and eventually we saved Argyle, and a guy called James Brent came forward. We backed him, and he's now in place at the owner. But we achieved that by unity. It was unity versus individuals, and we united the players, the staff, and the fans. And we stood against the football world, the legal world, and the administrators world, and we actually won, which is an unprecedented thing in football. So my message, I'm not going to stand here for a long, long time this morning to you. My message is simple. And I've spent my whole working life believing that if you stand together, shoulder to shoulder, as a collective, you will always be stronger than the individual. And we're told time after time after time in this country and across the world that the key thing to aspire to is individual success. And I think, yes, that is important. But you know what? My marker in life is the success of the masses, the success and the level that the poorest man and the poorest woman find themselves at in life. That's more important to me than somebody making a new billionaire on the Forbes list, or somebody achieving something fantastic for themselves that doesn't actually even benefit its community or the people that they live around, or the community that they serve. You will know, and I believe firmly, that individuals normally, and big corporations hold all the cards. They've got the money, they've got the resources, they've got the media on side, and more often than not, they've got the authority on side. But what they haven't got, and it's my message to you, they haven't got what comes in here. Yeah, and that's heart, and that's passion, and that's belief, and that's a feeling that can only come by standing together. It's a feeling that can only come, and a moment you will only achieve if you can turn to someone and say, bloody hell, we achieved that together. You know, I achieved that because of you, and you achieved that because of me. I didn't achieve that for myself. I achieved that for us. So we saved Argyle together. We were stronger together. We achieved more together. So thanks for giving you my time this morning. Really appreciate the chance to come and speak to you. But my message is simple. Stick together, and we'll have a far better world. We stuck together. We saved Plymouth Argyle. Thank you.